Well, hello, traders and investors. I'm Ellie Little. This is your daily NeoTA wrap. We take a look at these markets and doing it from a neoclassical perspective. That means we're looking at supply and demand on the charts. We're using that information to make wise decisions about when to enter the market, when not, when to exit, which way to point. That's what neoclassical is about. It's tape reading at its best, and it does work. As far as working, these markets are working to hold on to their gains today. Matter of fact, they're struggling. I'm doing this show about 30 minutes before the close. You got Apple after hours today with the earnings. You got Facebook, I believe, tomorrow, as well as Tesla tomorrow as well. You've got the Fed coming out tomorrow too. So you got a lot happening overnight and tomorrow in these markets. Let's turn our attention to the indexes here and see what's cooking. Let's pull up the S&P 500 to start with, and then we'll flip over to the NDX where the action is. So S&P doing another sideways day. If we move over, though, and move to the NDX, this is where it's happening, and that is that this is trying to give it up today. So you got a high yesterday, 56.40.48. You get over it, you get back under it. You're probably going to have lighter volume. It's going to be a close call on the volume today probably. And as this comes back in, if it comes back in and has lighter volume, that's a two-bar reversal. That's a straight up move. When you see this kind of a move, that says that more than likely what's going to happen is this thing's going to reverse and flop back down the other way. So this straight up move gets some sort of a pullback. Now the first pullback almost always gets bought. Whether it's deep into this swing point high or whether it's even more shallow, it's probably going to get bought. But it's probably going to go sideways to down if that prints overnight. If you look at it on the NASDAQ composite, the composite's doing the same thing over and under. Not quite as stretched, but pretty stretched overall. So you've got the situation setting up there. And then what you've also got happening is you've got the Russell coming back to do a what amounts to almost a full retest, regenerate on this swing point high that was a wide price spread bar. And so as you come back into these areas, right, that's where the Russell should get bought if it's going to. And so this whole area that you see in here is all fairly strong support, or should be. As you know in Neoclassical, what should happen is what you focus on, and what does happen then gives you clues as to what comes next. So that's the way the markets are set up tonight. Given that I'm doing this early, I really can't say much more about it other than the way this is setting up. If you're long and strong in tech, you might want to rethink your position overnight in front of those Apple earnings. And speaking of Apple, Apple itself is giving nothing back. Apple itself wants to continue the run from all signs that I saw earlier. Let me pop it up and see what the latest numbers look like on it here before the bell. And here we go with Apple. And Apple had made a new high. And something's wrong with the volume here today, but it made a new high today, and so far it's holding it. Now, if it gets up underneath 147.20 at the close, then all bets would be off on that as well. You've got some other movers still hanging in there, like BABA stretches higher today. I saw Google doing the same thing, although Google's coming off those highs that it made earlier. Microsoft trying to do an over-under, which was essentially another two-bar reversal. You keep seeing bonds bought as they scale down, right? Every time they come down, they come right back in and buy them. This all looks to me like you just have a market that's stretched so far that it wants to take a break, and it deserves a break after this kind of a run. That's it for tonight. Have a great one. I do not know if there will be a show tomorrow. I'll do my best to give you one. If I'm not back in time, then my apologies in advance. Otherwise, I will talk to you then. Take care. Good night.